Oh, hi there. Caught me doing a bit of spot weeding. Lovely balmy morning, probably about 5:45 now. It's been probably 3 years since we first had a look at the Vegiepatch here and how it was working, and I thought you might just be interested in having a look at how things are going. So what we might do is we might just spend 10 minutes and have a look around and see what each bay's up to and how things are progressing, and a bit of a talk about what we're growing and how things have travelled over the last 3 years. So I'm going to pop over there in where the chooks are, and we'll start the visit. Okay, so we're in the bay where the chooks are at the moment. They've been in here for probably 3 weeks. You can see when they came in there was still a few leftover broccoli plants and things. They've eaten all the leaves off them. Looks like the remnants of a kale plant there. That's probably can't remember what that was, but you can see they've cleaned most things up. There was a lot of weed in here too. They've dug that and mixed it round. So in about a week's time I'll be in here to move them onto the next bay. Just for your own interest, people have asked me in the past, what you do if something's still growing when it's time for the chooks to come in. You can see here I had some peas that I was actually a little bit slow to put in, and they were still cropping when the chooks came in. They're kind of on their last legs now. And what I did is just lent a few things against the bottom of them there so the chooks wouldn't dig them out, and they've continued cropping while the chooks have been in here. So, normally if there's something that's kind of dragging the chain a bit, it's no problems just fencing it off. The chooks don't really care. They've picked at a few leaves and things, but it's basically all good. One of the pleasures in having a Vegiepatch is eating a fresh pea. Okay, so this bay, the chooks were in about 3 weeks ago. You can see most of the seedlings, and I plant, especially in winter, most things from seedlings, not seed. You can see most of these seedlings now are well established. So these have been growing for about 3 weeks. We've got various lettuces, kale, silver beet. This bay was planted early September. So in Australia, that's kind of the end of our winter. So I haven't put any what I'd call winter crops in here. So no broccoli, cauliflower, peas, that type of thing. So we're now moving into summer crop time of year. One thing I've never grown before is radishes, but these radishes have been in 3 weeks, and you can see already that they're big enough to eat. I've always known they were a fast growing crop, but that's pretty amazing. I don't know of anything else you can plant and eat within 3 weeks, so that one's heading for the kitchen. Okay, so this bay's just under 2 months old, so it'd be somewhere around the 7-week mark. You can see things are really starting to establish now. It's normally at this stage I give things a bit of a spot weed, so you can see that some of these weeds are starting to, they're quite established, but it's also pretty easy still to get them out. I keep them, I normally just feed them to the chooks. We've got another chook pen up the top of our property where we keep some other chooks, and that's just a weed and waste processing centre. I might just, while we're in this bay, just have a little talk about one of the, not so much the problems, but one of the things I've struck over the, particularly in the last probably 12 months. Obviously, with the chooks going in each bay, there's a lot of fertiliser in the form of chook manure. That chook manure is very rich in nitrogen, and I just started to find probably 6-12 months ago that things weren't growing quite as well as they used to. After doing a little bit of research and asking around, found that what was probably happening was that I actually had too much nitrogen in the soil and not enough other trace elements. So for the last probably 2 to 3 months, I've been adding some powdered rock minerals. Now these are a natural product. They're just powdered rock, and they have a lot of the trace elements that the soil requires. And the growth that I'm seeing now is just phenomenal in comparison to before. In fact, when we get onto some of the other bays, I'll show you a difference in the size of the broccoli plants since I've been using those trace elements. So look, soil is an extremely complicated thing. I don't think even the scientists completely understand how all those microorganisms and everything work to process everything. But certainly if you can keep a balance of all the elements in there, you'll find your growth is much better. And I mean, if you have a look at these broccoli plants, I mean, they've got a leaf that's nearly 10 inches wide, and they're 7 weeks old. So yeah, I would say I experience now twice the growth that I was before I was putting those trace elements back in. So if there's one thing that I've learnt in the 3 years, and that's it, keep your other elements up to support the nitrogen, then everything is free for the plants to use. Yeah, you can probably see also, I'll just go up the back here, I put a couple of early tomato plants in as well. And one thing I did there is because they were in early, so this bay was planted beginning of August, which is still in the middle of our winter. Now we don't get a very heavy winter here. We might get a couple of frosts, so it's not a really heavy winter. But I established those tomato plants, and they're growing quite well now. And all I did was put little 3 sticks around them. I don't know if you can see these little sticks. I just had 3 sticks and a shopping bag over them, which acted like a little mini glass house. In fact, in the previous bay, you might have seen a couple of them there in the corner. And that's been very successful to get these tomatoes going. So in Australia, the thing is, can you get tomatoes before Christmas? And I'd say we'll be well and truly eating these probably by even mid-November. So we'll take a wander into the next bay. All right, now, so we're now into the third bay. So this one's just under 3 months old. You can see everything in here is certainly well into the growing stage. In fact, again, since I've been using those rock minerals, the growth on these radicchios and lettuces are amazing. I mean, there's some leaves there that would be probably well over 30 centimetres or a foot wide. Again, broccoli that's doing quite well. Just for interest, I mean that leaf's nearly as long as my arm. And another thing that I've noticed is that's a beetroot that's under 3 months old. I've noticed that again, since I've been using these trace elements, I'm starting to get more root development on root crops like beetroot. That was one thing that was indicating to me that I had too much nitrogen, was that I was getting a lot of leaf growth, but not a lot of root growth. So the fact that these are starting to plump up again is an indication that things are kind of back on track. So you can see this bay's well established. So this is one where we're eating out of at the moment. Okay, so this is the fourth bay. I'm not going to spend much time in here because it's pretty much the same as the third. Things are well into their growing stage. You can see here, the broccoli are now starting to get a good solid head. Again, the stem on this one would be a couple of inches thick. We'll compare that to the next bay in a minute, but you can see things well underway in here as well. Yeah. Okay, so this is the last bay. The chooks are about to move into here. You can see, look, just for comparison, this one didn't have the trace elements in it. There's a broccoli leaf, half the size of the other ones. The stems would be half as thick. A beetroot that's 2 months older, that's half the size, just struggling in comparison to the bays with those new elements in them. So we'll have a look in a minute at the permanent bays, but we'll wind it up here for now at the tour.